You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And it just keeps getting better.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Pretty surprised with the play call. Didn't expect a running play. No. Once I knew it, I thought it was a great play call. I just got to make the catch.
You're an aggressive play caller. You're an aggressive football team. The play is wide open. Your best player on offense drops it. I mean, we can carve it up however you want. We can say whatever we want. At the end of the day, it was the right play call at the right moment. Unfortunately, the player didn't execute it. Ends up costing them. You know, they kick a field goal, they go up 6. But if you're sitting back there second-guessing this, you would second-guess the entire game plan from the first quarter to the fourth quarter because I think it's the right play, just didn't execute.
That's Jeff Saturday, ESPN, who says it's the right play call. You had Saquon Barkley said, were you surprised? He said, nope, I just didn't make the play. You know, a lot of times we think if we would have called a play differently, that it would have worked because we would have called it and the coach didn't call it. But that being said, keep this in mind. As much as I say, look, run the ball, let the clock run out. If you want to use that play on fourth down, put it in your back pocket and then surprise them on fourth down. But there's a lot of times the play is effective on the third down because of the element of surprise. Here's a guy who played in the league, NFL free agent tight end Colin Thompson, spent time with the Carolina Panthers. These third down, short yardage, late in the game. Jeff Saturday said, now he actually was an NFL head coach for a short time. He said he liked the play. Colin, what did you think on third down last night? Chance to kind of run that clock. Atlanta has no timeouts. Were you surprised that they threw the ball?
I was not surprised because of who they were throwing the football to. Let's unpack this a few different ways. One, for Saquon, from a player's perspective, yeah, you need to catch it. But we don't need coaches that say catch the ball. We need coaches to pick it apart. His hands were on the other side of his eyes. They were behind his eyes, right there, past his eyes. He needs to bring his hands in front of his eyes, meaning go get the football, flip his hands around, right? He was catching it like it was over the shoulder. When he needs to flip his hands over, try and go catch it, right? Put your pointer finger and your thumbs together, go get the football, meet your hands with the ball, and get your hands in front of your eyes, go attack it. That's one from a coaching perspective. Two, I have Jalen Hurts, really good football player, highly paid, who had probably his best game he's had in 10 games. And then I have Saquon Barkley, who's, other than Christian McCaffrey, the best running back in the NFL, who catches the ball well out of the backfield in college with the Giants and now with the Eagles. So I like that from that perspective. This is the issue when you have so many toys, Mike. This is the issue. You have to feed them the rock, and you want to feed them the rock, but your shiny toys and your best-looking toys, in my opinion, are the big boys up front, right? Like, they dominated at times. Like, they lose the best center and could be in NFL history, and they're still regarded as the best offensive line in the NFL. Juergens is playing great. So, and we're going to unpack the rest of the game, but to be brief on your answer here, Mike, I like the call. I have no problem with it.
So, the play, you're in that huddle, the play call comes in, it's third down and 3.
It's not a shock. It's not a shock.
Right, so it's third down and 3. You know they have no timeouts left. Are you not anticipating a run, or are you saying, hey, let's element of surprise in there and close this damn game out?
So what they did was they ran it earlier in the game. It's called a slipper route. You just like slide route.
Scored a touchdown.
What? They ran a touchdown.
Yeah, scored a touchdown.
Exactly. So it's called a slipper route. So he slips right in the flat right away instead of play action fake, and then there's like a tight end that comes out into the flat, right? That's how it usually goes. He goes out right away. So Jalen like almost fakes it like he's handing him the ball the other direction. He's wide open because they bottle it up. Like Sirianni at the end was like, they jammed it up. But what he's saying is it's man-to-man coverage. We're in short yardage. They're trying to bring more people than we can block. Instead of trying to block these people, we don't use fullbacks and big tight ends in the run game. We like to use space to help us, meaning you got to guard our receivers. And if you don't guard them, we're going to RPO throw it. Covey, great game, right? So essentially what they're doing is they're going to say we're going to run pick routes, but they're legal because it's all within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage. So all the tight ends and everybody blocks down. They are all man-to-man guys on the tight end, and the running back slips out into the flat. You saw him. And also, let me communicate a couple things. One, there's a short yardage play sheet. There's like four plays in that short yardage thing that you rep like 10 times in a week. And that's your lone short yardage pass probably. So he was going to go with it. It worked. The play was the right call. Whatever people want to say, It's the right call. They probably won't do it again because everyone's going to jump down their throat. I heard you before on the show ripping people for it. And then secondly, Mike, and most importantly, it's players, not plays, man. You have to execute. And in that huddle, I guarantee you, they have a term, which means catch the ball and stay in bounds. Right, whatever that is.
Yes. Well, and listen, I said earlier this morning, I said, look, everybody loves blaming the coach. Fans love blaming the coach. It's always the coach's fault.
They don't know the game, but it's the players, man. You get paid to perform, and if you don't, there's the door.
Well, I said, Colin, everybody loves to blame the coach, and I always say coach to me is somewhere down the line. Sirianni's getting blamed for having trust in his players, and it's like shame on him for trusting Barkley to catch that ball. And I always say the fan says if I'm coaching, because I know I can't play, but I would have ran the ball there.
Yeah.
And shame on him for 2 times trusting his players. 1, throwing the ball on 3rd down instead of letting the clock run out. And then 2, him saying, I'll kick the field goal, take the 6, because I trust that my defense is not going to let them go right down the field and score. So I'll leave you with that, Colin Thompson. Is their defense a major problem with that pass rush for the – now, I said earlier before you came on, they gave up 15 points up to the last drive there. You give up 15 points, you feel pretty good. But is that a sustainable defense with that pass rush?
Oh, I listened to the show, Mike. I heard you ripping people texting you, not paying attention to your notes, your news and notes. By the way, people listening that may not listen to Philly Sports Talk Radio, Mike's the best in the entire area. I'll leave it at that. So neither here nor there, Mike. There's a couple notes that I wrote down for this, for my show, Sirius show tonight, and then for you. Sirianni, I think he dropped the ball early in the game with the field goal. Take the points.
Take the points. All right, so you as a former player saying take the points there.
Yeah, I always took the points. I would have, yeah. It was like 4th and 4, 4th and 5. Like, it's not like we're tush pushing our way to it. I love the tush push. It works almost 100% of the time. I would do that all the time, right? And they do it ad nauseum, right? So I love that. I think that's the one blemish for him. I think there were some clock management things. I think from a communication standpoint, as we transition to the defense, if I'm Sirianni, hey, Vic, all these outbreaking routes, don't let him get the sideline. And the one time he was fighting for extra yards, he should have ran out of bounds. And I know you were talking about the Manning cast, but they're letting him get out of bounds. Like, we should never be given the sideline. We should be playing some single high safety and forcing everybody back to the middle of the football field. That's what I would be running, because you're giving him the sideline. And Kirk Cousins, he does this in his sleep. I think he's got the most game-winning touchdown throws in the history of the NFL. Like, ridiculous. I think it's like 10. My stat, I took a picture of it this morning. Of course, I should have it for the show, but neither here nor there. Like, the guy knows how to go up and down the field. If there's anything he's comfortable with, here's the stat. Most go-ahead passes in TDs. Most go-ahead TD passes since 2015 in the final minute of regulation or OT. Derek Carr with 8, Kirk Cousins with 6, Tom Brady with 5, Matt Stafford with 5. So what I need to do is give him stuff to make him uncomfortable. The Eagles weren't getting home with 4 in the pass rush all game long. I heard you talking about Bryce Huff. Here's what I would do, Mike. Early, the one touchdown, the slant, the post route there, that was cover 0, right? So they look like they're running their shell defense. I don't know who scored. Whoever scored in the slant in the middle of the field, was it London? And the bottom line is this. They brought a cover 0 pressure.
Wait, which touchdown are you talking about? Not the game-winning one.
I'm talking about the one, not the game winner, the one down the middle of the field. I sent it earlier. I sent it to one of my buddies who's a defensive coordinator in the league. And I said,
that was the one to Mooney. Yeah, they blitzed. They blitzed, and he caught Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on his heels. Actually, flat-footed, not on his heels. He caught him flat-footed.
And he should be flat-footed. This is what I'm going to break it down on my film breakdown now. Shout out to Baldy, the GOAT, with all this stuff. I'm going to start doing it too, because he's supposed to be flat-footed there, folks. Why? When you're in cover 0 as a defensive back, and we run this at Lower Cape May Regional High School football. Shout out to Billy Demiana, the defensive coordinator. You need to be 6 to 8 yards off the football. Sometimes players press, and you are ready to drive forward on the route. Why am I driving forward on the route? Because the quarterback only has about 1 second to get rid of the football, and you're not going to get far enough downfield as a wide receiver to get the football out. Well, what Vic was trying to do to generate some pressure, which I think is crafty and fun, speaking to this DC in the NFL, I'm an offensive guy, but I want to rely on my sources of people that I can talk to about it, was he brought him from depth. He showed like a cover 2 look and brought the backers from like 5 yards deep. So if you look at it, that's why Gardner-Johnson, when you show the replay, he's communicating with the corner like, hey, listen, this is 0. But it's not on Gardner-Johnson. Yes, you cannot get beat inside. First and foremost, in cover 0, that is on him. You can't get beat inside on cover 0. You need to be 6 to 8 yards off the football and about 2 yards inside, because any fade route, post route is a hard post route fade. Fade routes, corners, they're harder. They take longer to develop. But any in-breaker is quick. So you need to be able to drive on the football 6 to 8 yards, flat-footed, because I'm driving forward. I'll finish here. They brought the backers from 5 yards, which I get. You're trying to disguise it, Vic. Smart. But guess what? That's Kirk Cousins. He saw it pre-snap. He saw 0 pre-snap. He said, oh, man, if this in-breaker hits, I'm taking it. Gardner Johnson's not far enough inside. So communication, alignment, like simple things. And this is where I'll finish with. I would line them up and just run 0. If you're going to run 0, meaning all the guys, watch the Vikings. They all line up right on the line of scrimmage. Some of them may drop out, some may not, but it creates chaos for offenses. So now they're bringing 0. He gets beat inside first and foremost. So to me, Mike, and this is why I think the Eagles are in better shape than people think calling today. A, listen, Atlanta's better than people think. They're a playoff football team, like you said. 2, all these little mistakes are going to help them at the end of the year if they fix them. We're going to kick the ball when we get in there instead of 4th and 5 and going for it. You know what? We're probably going to run the ball, or we're going to run it with Jalen, so it alleviates any issues with drops. Okay, there's that. Hey, Vic, maybe we got to start adding some cover 0, some pressures where teams are thinking about it because our 4 aren't getting home, right? So a lot of simple things that can be fixed because the Eagles beat themselves. That's why they lost the football game, and that, to me, will make them a better football team down the run.
Colin Thompson's with us, not for long media, Sirius XM, and of course, NFL free agent tight end, spent time with Carolina, Minnesota, Chicago. When you talk about those late game troubles, though, the closeout game, they've given up 140 points inside the 2-minute warning, including 10 points last night. It's the most by any team in the NFL. You've been on a team, I don't want to rub it in, that wasn't very good. When those moments happen, does that start to creep in that late? Like, hey, we played bend but don't break all night. We gave up 15 points. But in the last 2 minutes, something happens. Is there something to that?
That's a great question. That's a bazillion-dollar question that I wish I could give you an honest answer on, Mike. But I'll say this. I don't think we helped them scheme-wise. We let them get out of bounds. Like, the catch the pitch over the middle doesn't hurt us.
Right, that's Eagles, 11 yards. That gets it started. But it's like, okay, 11.
Yeah,
but then, 20 plus, the next 2 to Mooney kill you.
Yeah, the clock's running, right? And they're in some sort of cover 2 shell, so they're working the sideline, right, between the corner and the safety. That takes that half of the field.
Well, how about what last night Manning said to Ryan? When you go to a new team, the most comfortable you are is in the 2-minute because all the plays are like your installs, your easy stuff. And then conversely, the defense can't really change what they're doing. So once you got that team in what they're in, there's nothing they can really do to get out of it.
No, and you know what it gets down to? Which everyone's calling and texting about, Mike? Pass rush, right? And I was someone who, and I will continue to, I like dying on hills, Mike. When I trust my eyes. I watch Bryce Huff with the Jets. And in that system, which is different than what the Eagles run. Eagles run the same defense as last year, folks. Okay?
And the year before.
And the year before, right? So critically think on that, okay? And then lastly, Bryce Huff was a hell of a player with the Jets. Now, talking to people around the league, yeah, he had some room to grow, but he's younger than Hassan Reddick, and he's cheaper than Hassan Reddick. And Hassan Reddick wanted a mega deal. He still does. And I don't talk about guys' money. Go get your money, Hassan. So at the end of the day, those 4 got to get home. Sweat, he's better than I think a lot of people in the league think he is. He didn't get home, right? The D tackles, all these guys from Georgia, and you got a guy in the 3rd round pick recording your own sack, not these high drafted players. So to me, Mike, it's the pass rush. To me, Mike, it's these opportunities shouldn't even have been there. Eagles should not even have been there. And you could be critical of each opportunity, but it never should have got there, and hopefully they learn from them.
All right, I want to get a quick thought real quick. I mean, they get 21 points last night. How much not having A.J. Brown last night? Obviously, you don't have A.J. Brown. That's a factor. But offensively, did you look at them and say, him not being here is really a struggle for them tonight?
I thought it was one of Jalen's better games, and solely because of this reason. There was some design runs for him to get moving, and he would take off quickly.
He ran with authority last night.
But he always wanted to, right? But I think for him to scramble laterally, he's never been a lateral guy. He's more like a Tim Tebow than he is Lamar Jackson. Like Tim was downhill, run you over. That is Jalen Hurts. Cam Newton is an alien. He's on another planet. But I think Jalen Hurts needs to play more like Cam Newton to have success. You are going to risk injury for him to be successful, for your team to be better. The design runs, they run that little inside zone to the left. They wrap the center around, right? It looks like they're pulling, but they're not. It's inside zone, and they're just trying to get leverage on the backer. They faked the handoff to Saquon, unlike the week before they handed it to him, and he led block into it. I thought it was a great way to get 8 yards. They had some design counter stuff for him, and then when he would scramble, he'd get downhill and get vertical. They have to live in that, and they have to be willing for him to get dinged up because that's how the offense is going to go. That's how he'll be comfortable. And I thought they did a nice job of the RPO game. They've been struggling with that, but he did a nice job. Covey had a nice game. They got depth across the board, Mike. They got talent. It's just, are they going to continue to beat themselves? If they don't beat themselves, they will win every single football game.
Well, they got a tough stretch. All of a sudden, this Saints team looks legit. Tampa Bay.
Hardest place to play in the NFL, New Orleans.
Going there on Sunday. Tampa Bay looks legit, and that's the next two matchups. The NFC South is on the docket for the Philadelphia Eagles. Colin Thompson, you can check him out on Not For Long Media, Sirius XM Radio, and, of course, right here on the Sports Bash. He's back for another season of the breakdowns right here on the Sports Bash. Colin Thompson, everybody. Take care, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Always good to see you. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN.